Welcome to the Partnering for Sustainability podcast. Fulfilling a future where life is on and sustainability takes top priority is simpler than you think. When we come together, join forces, and collaborate, we can achieve greatness. The time to act is now. Combined, we can realize a truly inspiring and revolutionary future.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to our latest podcast of Partnering for Sustainability series. I am Rohan Kelkar. I'm the EVP for the Power Products, or Low Voltage Division, globally for Schneider Electric. In this session, we want to take you around the world, from North America and Europe to some of the most thriving economies in Asia Pacific, and share with you the developments taking place around sustainability. At Schneider Electric, we develop a GLOCAL approach on sustainability. Don't look it up in the dictionary. We call it thinking global and acting local. Our global aim is to decarbonize the overall economy. And we are thrilled with the COP28 and their agreement to transition away from fossil fuels towards renewables and energy efficiency, especially with a focus or increasing focus on the Scope 3 or the downstream and distribution side of the economy. However, we understand that the grand ideas and breakthroughs start into our everyday decisions and actions, and in our business engagements and in our agenda, because we all have a part to play. Our network of local and regional partners across the world is instrumental in our global execution. Our partners effectively are bringing change and making real our global pledge and mission to decarbonize economies. We proudly refer to them as partnerships of the future, and this episode, of course, is dedicated to them. So this is our agenda. First, we want to talk to you about the sustainability movement led by governments and companies alike in many parts of the world, and it's bigger than you think, and it's really unstoppable. Then we will demonstrate the importance of decarbonizing the value chain and the need to work very closely with your partners and your ecosystem, amongst many reasons, because of regulatory compliance. Finally, we want to share examples of these partnerships in the value chain that show a new type of engagement, one that is based on shared values and tight long-term collaboration. But before we kick off this episode, let's go through for a quick round of introductions, because I'm joined by experts from in-house at Schneider Electric and also our analyst from the firm IDC. Would you like to start, Kapila, Ionut, and then Angela?
Hello, everyone. I'm Kapila Mehta, Vice President Sustainability for Global Power Product Division at Schneider Electric.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ionut Farcas, the Head of Europe Power Products Division at Schneider Electric.
Hello, everyone. My name is Angela Salmeron. I am the Research Director for IDC's Sustainability team, and thank you for having me again.
Good to talk to you again, Angela. Okay, thank you all. And let's start by looking at the sustainability movement led by governments or regulation and businesses around the world. So, Angela, what are governments doing in order to decarbonize their economies?
Governments are very, very active. They are aware that decarbonizing our economies is crucial to address climate change. Just to give you an idea, according to the International Energy Agency, our current energy system is responsible for about 75% of total carbon emissions, which means that transforming how we produce and consume energy is essential. So it's in this transformation where governments are taking bold actions and they are using what I call a carrot and a stick approach. So let's go first with the carrot. They are using incentives. They are heavily investing with public money, but also they are driving capital towards green industries. Let me give you some examples across the world. In the European Union, we have the Green Deal Industrial Plan. In the US, it's the Inflation Reduction Act. And in China, who are leaders in wind energy production, the government launched their 14th five-year plan for renewable energy. But this is not for incentives, right? As I said, governments are taking a carrot and a stick approach. On the stick approach, I'm referring to regulations. They are using regulations to accelerate transition to net zero. And again, examples across the world are, for instance, Europe, as we know, is ahead of the game. I cannot think of a region in the world where sustainability is more heavily regulated. Think about CSRD, the Supply Chain Act in different countries, but also circularity laws across many countries. So all in all, they are really resetting rules and transforming the way we do business. In North America, the Security and Exchange Commission, they are expecting sometime soon, the next few months, they're going to require U.S. publicly listed companies to disclose climate risks. But also within the United States, we know that different states are taking different initiatives. For instance, in California, 2 sustainability laws have been introduced. They start in 2026. And in New York, 2 bills have been developed, which could be enacted actually this year. North America, Europe, finally in Asia-Pacific, we know that the largest economies are becoming heavily regulated. In China, large companies are mandated to disclose what is called metrics of common Chinese prosperity, which is essentially environmental, social, and human capital data. And in India, their top 150 companies are required to disclose ESG metrics, and they need to be audited.
Thank you, Angela. And that's very interesting to see all the developments going on in the different dimensions across the world. It is very difficult for any one company to navigate this complex regulatory environment, so different across the globe and constantly changing. Can you share with us how Schneider is responding to the new energy landscape and to government regulations?
Certainly. Acting on the energy efficiency of buildings is key to saving energy, achieving a zero emission and a fully decarbonized building stock by 2050. As Angela shared previously, Europe is ahead of the game with the new Energy Performance of Building Directive, shortened as EPBD, as we all know in the business environment in Europe, which aims to achieve net zero buildings in 2050. Just to give you some statistics, 85% of European buildings were built before 2000. And amongst those, 75% have a poor energy performance. Moreover, 42% of the energy consumed in Europe in 2021 was used in buildings. And more or less 80% of the energy used in the European households is for heating, cooling, and hot water. The directives highlight technology deployment, targeted segment renovation, electrification, promoting building efficiency through digitalization, but also occupant behavior and empowerment. And all these are areas that are fully addressed by the Schneider Electric Power Products Europe Hub strategy. As a global company, we are also responding to regulatory requirements in other parts of the world. In China, for example, the government has produced a series of rules and guidelines to promote carbon reduction, which, for example, came in November 2023 with the official guidelines that accelerated the adoption of carbon footprint management systems. Their guidelines also included 200 carbon accounting rules and standards for key products at the national level until 2030. On government procurement, they define a set of carbon footprint requirements to increase the purchases of low-carbon products. Their policies are focused on large consumer goods such as electronic products, household appliances, and automobiles, and guide enterprises to display commodity carbon labels, while at the same time encourage consumers to buy and use low-carbon products. We work very closely with authorities and moreover with our customers across the world as we need to adapt and navigate together this complex and changing regulatory environment towards energy decarbonization.
Thank you very much, Ionut. Angela, are you seeing a similar reaction from other companies? Or maybe if you take a bigger picture, what trends and business behaviors are you seeing in response to government initiatives?
Yes, we are. Many companies across the world have set up ambitious net zero targets. More than 5,000 have actually taken what we call a science-based approach, and they are working very closely and aligning with the SBTi, like you, Schneider Electric. And you might agree, it's quite a tough journey. So we are seeing a huge business movement joined by big and small firms, and movement that expanding across regions and industries. Indeed, it is changing the way we operate internally, but also across the value chain. If you remember, in our episode 3 of our series, we spoke about sustainability levers. And we said there that the most important driver for companies to adopt sustainability is actually to stay in business. Why? Because ESG is present in B2B transactions. It's a game changer in the value chain. Let me give you again some examples across the world. So in the US, the healthcare company Kaiser Permanente, they operate 39 hospitals and have more than 700 medical offices. They have set up a procurement program that requires suppliers to meet specific ESG criteria. In Europe, the automotive company Mercedes-Benz, they have plans to source more than 200,000 tons of low-carbon European steel a year. So clearly, now with the procurement power, they are using their influence to reset their rules in the steel industry. And in Asia Pacific, the international bank DBS, they have set carbon emission scores in their RFPs for the high-value contracts. So as you can see, it's a large movement, and it's difficult to ignore by any company if they want to seriously want to remain in business. I believe it was in episode 4, in our previous episode, when we mentioned that ESG was the top business risk for CEOs in Europe in 2023. This is IDC survey data. So, certainly delaying the journey is going to make things more difficult to companies and increase their risk exposure. But I also want to emphasize that sustainability shouldn't be seen only as a risk or as an extra cost for companies to stay in business. This is just one side of the coin. The other side shows that actually sustainability is a business opportunity, as we addressed in episode 2. An IDC survey showed that companies are reducing costs, they are more operationally efficient, and they are even generating new revenue by targeting new customers.
That's really interesting. And I do remember that conversation in the last couple of episodes. And even in the last few months, you can see the momentum increasing in our value chain with our partners. Kapila, how about if you explain for our audience how Schneider is supporting our suppliers to decarbonize their operations?
Sure, Rohan. We are with our suppliers during this transformation phase. Our program to suppliers provide capacity building, thought leadership, resources and dedicated support to help them set and achieve their carbon reduction targets. Suppliers are encouraged to quantify their carbon emissions, adopt ambitious decarbonization goals, and deploy an action plan to achieve it. Our Zero Carbon project particularly facilitates the exchange of best practices with multiple engagements and training sessions organized on a regular basis. The project also leverages expert knowledge and experiential learning on a decarbonization from Schneider to support suppliers. Reducing the operational carbon emission in our supply chain is part of our 2021 to 25 sustainability goals.
Thank you, Kapila. So, how do we engage with customers and ensure decarbonization downstream in the value chain?
Wow. This topic is very dear to me as we put a lot of energy on it, as it comes from our strong beliefs. We implemented 3 main actions in the past 5 years, covering from design phase up to the point of delivering our products in the hands of our customers. Let me put you a question. Have you heard of circularity by design?
I have, but why don't you tell us again, especially our listeners that are new or may not have heard this before?
Yes, this means that since the start of our product design, not only with energy efficiency in mind, but also modularity and possibility to be upgraded and serviced. The results, our product use less energy and less resources and last longer. Our new MasterPact MTZ Active is the best example I can give. It has been designed according to eco design and is green premium labeled. These are some of its features. It uses low impact material, plastic made of at least 20% bio-based content in compound with more than 50% CO2 equivalent saved on manufacturing of the plastic parts. Then, it has sustainable packaging made of minimum of 70% recycled content, brown natural color to avoid whitening process, and above all, single-use plastic free. It is highly energy cost efficient too. We reduced energy consumption by 70% compared to previous generation. Almost 82 kilograms CO2 equivalent based on 15 years of the product use, which is a normal lifespan of a breaker. Besides its design, we also take care of its maintenance to maximize lifetime. For example, the battery is front-face and accessible for maintenance and end-of-life management. It is also equipped with a maintenance indicator to ensure the performance over lifetime. Remaining lifetime indicator for breaker and control unit displays directly to the customer. And last but not least, the MTZ control unit is compatible with MasterPact NW/NT to extend its lifetime. Therefore, MasterPact MTZ Active has been designed with circularity in mind. Its maintenance is well managed to prolong its lifetime. And finally, let me briefly explain that is also part of our circular economy program.
Yeah, explain that to our audience a little bit more detail, please.
Yes, so our refurbished MasterPact MTZ is commercially available for customers and it can be purchased online with just 3 clicks. It is gaining good market traction because besides environmental reasons, customers enjoy the benefits of business continuity, high-quality products, and of course, cost savings. But our circular certified range of products extends beyond MasterPact MTZ. Each refurbished product undergoes a meticulous process ensuring full dismantling, reconfiguration, and quality checks at facilities with ISO 9001 quality, 14001 environment, and 45001 safety certifications. These products are subjected to the same rigorous functional test as new ones, adhering to ISC 60947-2 standards, ensuring their reliability.
Wow, that's a really good example. And what's amazing, and I would say congratulations to that team, what's amazing is that we're able to demonstrate that we can drive circularity, think about life cycle, think about how to build a more sustainable product, whether it's when you're buying a new one or when you're reusing it, without compromising reliability and safety. And that's really a great example. Thank you very much, Ionut. So back to you, Kapila. As you lead our sustainability efforts in the power products business, how do we ensure sustainability is built into our products from start and is not just an afterthought?
As Ionut just shared, Rohan, Schneider is embedding eco-design and circularity principle into how we design and develop our products, how do we source materials, and even make sustainable choices for packaging. Through eco-design, we consider all environmental impact throughout the product life cycle, seeking to have the least possible impact at every stage. Let me explain you with an example that would be more clear. In a recent eco-design project, we prioritized sustainability by upgrading the platform used by participating contractors. And here are few results. We achieved 22% CO2 reduction at product level. The project also utilized alternative low-impact materials to ensure the product is halogen-free, silicon-free, and plastic-free. Additionally, energy consumption was reduced through the implementation of electronic coils and more efficient power circuits, further reducing CO2 emissions. Furthermore, sustainable packaging was adopted, leading to a reduction in CO2 emission in Scope 3 upstream.
Wow, another brilliant example. Thank you, Kapila and Ionut, for sharing these. And really, it embodies how Schneider is supporting its partners, upstream and downstream, in our efforts to introduce circularity into our value chain. Angela, do you see the same in your research? Are partnerships of this nature gaining speed and scale in the value chain?
Definitely, yes. It was podcast 4 when we spoke about sustainability for decarbonization. And we mentioned that partnerships are needed for systemic change in this fight against climate change. Because, after all, everyone has to play their part. This is bottom line. And do not forget that Scope 3 emissions, those produced in the value chain, upstream and downstream, represent for an average company about 70% of their carbon footprint. So if you're serious about your net zero targets, you have to tackle, your carbon 3 emissions. There is no other way. And it's because of this that we are seeing companies across industries, big or small, they are reassessing their partners upstream and downstream in their value chain. And they are selecting those that they can trust and those they can share common values and goals and the ones that they can, make the journey together. And let me give you again some examples. In Europe, Unilever is supporting 300 suppliers with a high carbon footprint product to achieve their Unilever's Climate Promise program. That's upstream, no suppliers. Downstream, they are piloting with transport partners the use of a refrigeration system that is electric battery powered. And this is for the trailers, of course. North America, different example. This is the retail company, Walmart, through their project Gigaton. They have the goal of reducing a gigaton of greenhouse gases emissions from their value chain by 2030. And then they are inviting suppliers to set targets and take action in a number of ways, energy use, waste, packaging, transportation, and so on. That's upstream. Downstream, Walmart is looking to alternative fuel options for their transportation fleets. So I said Europe, North America, and the final example in Asia Pacific, the healthcare and pharmaceutical company is Zurich Pharma. They are supporting their suppliers with training, with guidance throughout their sustainability journey, and they're even equipping them with a carbon calculator. This is upstream. Downstream, what Zurich Pharma is doing is that they are developing a packaging. It's called Easy Cooler. And what it does is it keeps pharma products cool without the use of energy during transport. So it's quite innovative.
Wow, Unilever, Walmart, those are some pretty big names and household names. That is quite interesting how close this action is to our everyday lives.
Indeed, they are big names. I agree with you.
So I'd like to finish our podcast by addressing how leading companies in sustainability are supporting partners in the value chain with training, commercial incentives, and other initiatives. Let's start with you, Angela. Based on your research, would you have some examples to share with us for these programs?
Yeah, of course. Right. However, if I may, before I give some examples, just to share some insight, partner support, right, meaning sharing knowledge and having incentive programs are much needed. And the reason is that we find in our research that companies are struggling to move on in their sustainability journey, particularly small and medium businesses. We know that about less than 20% of companies are in advanced stages of sustainability maturity. So again, helping needed, right, to move companies in that journey. But Rohan, to reply to your question, yes, let me give you some example of sustainability leaders supporting their partners. In North America, the tech company Cisco, they equip their partners with 15 hours of specialized training and certification, and also with incentives to promote circularity with their equipment. In Asia Pacific, the multinational consumer goods company, P&G, they collaborate actually with the academia, interestingly, for training their partners, but also with their government to support small and medium businesses. Finally, in Europe, the PCM printer company, HP Inc., They support their channel partners with training, self-assessment tools, awards, and other initiatives.
Wow, again, a bunch of household names, or at least business names, when you think about Cisco, HP, or Procter & Gamble. Thank you so much, Angela. Kapila, can you share what we have going on at Schneider to support our partners?
Sure, Rohan. As you know, for Schneider Electric, partners are in the center of our core strategy and anything we do. And we believe together with our combined efforts, we can make positive impact to our mutual customers and the planet. At Schneider, we launched the Sustainability School for Partners in March 2023, which offers a certified e-learning program with 3 chapters. Chapter 1 covers the basics of sustainability and its importance for businesses. Chapter 2 focuses on building decarbonization strategies, while Chapter 3 addresses the practical implementation of energy efficiency and decarbonization. In China alone, over 800 partners have enrolled our training program, which shows their interest in learning about sustainability, but also their commitment to the planet.
Wow, 800 partners. I just realized we haven't really spoken about China in that level of detail, but that's quite fascinating.
Absolutely, Rohan, that's right.
So thank you very much, Kapila. We only have a few minutes left, and this is where we wrap up our podcast series. So I have a couple of takeaways. Number 1, tackling climate change and decarbonizing our economies is a priority for many companies and present in most business-to-business transactions. Sustainability is resetting business rules. If you don't get on board and start the journey, you could be left behind. Besides, it's the risk of being fined if you fail to be compliant. So sustainability is a must to stay in business. Number 2, sustainability in the value chain is crucial to tackle Scope 3 emissions. Remember that for an average firm, this is the bulk of their emissions. As such, companies are revisiting their partner contracts and looking for engagements based on trust, shared values, and common goals. That's a lot to deal with, but that's what it takes to move this mountain. And with that, that's all the time we have for this podcast and really for this series. I'd like to thank our speakers and our listeners for tuning in to our last episode, and I hope you enjoyed it. A quick reminder that you can listen to the previous episodes in Spotify and Apple Podcasts in our Partnering for Sustainability series. But most importantly, we'd love to hear from you and be part of your journey. Reach out to us or visit our website. See you soon. Thank you.
This has been our Partnering for Sustainability podcast, brought to you by Schneider Electric. If you enjoyed this episode, you can listen to more, subscribe, and leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. The content of this podcast is for information purposes only and should not be undertaken as financial, economic, legal, business, tax, or investment advice. The information, statements, views, and opinions should not be construed as the provision of advice by Schneider Electric, or as an offer to buy or sell any products or services, or to make or consider any investment or course of action.